Welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two gripping Formula One fans. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your Anarchy in the UK host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the 1976 season, part 5. So let's go.
I don't know that song, Louis. Well, maybe I do, but I don't know it.
You do know it. You do know it.
See what I mean? All right. Well, who sings it?
Well, first of all, we're starting with the British Grand Prix, which is why I've called Anarchy in the UK. The Sex Pistols.
Oh, yeah, I probably would know it then.
Their other song is more well known. God Save the Queen.
Oh, yes.
That's it's obviously a sarcastic sort of song. And Anarchy in the UK was, I think, on their same album. And obviously they were big in the late 60s, 70s as punk rock, some of the punk rock pioneers. And yours was very Formula One related too.
Yeah, I've chosen the word gripping. It makes us sound like we're gripping, but I guess we can be gripping. But yes, it's getting very gripping, isn't it?
It is this season in particular. So because this is a season of changing grip of contenders
on the championship.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, because we've had a surprise. We've had the Tyrrell 1-2 with that six-wheeler. We've had the Brabhams come and go. We've had Ensign come. We've seen Lauda and Frey dominate, but then starting to stumble. Yeah, it's all on. Okay, so race 9 of 16, the British Grand Prix. It's at Brands Hatch, July 18, 76 laps, and the weather is warm and sunny. So with Hunt having won the French Grand Prix and him being reinstated as the winner of the Spanish Grand Prix, guess what happens, Rosa?
Yes, Hunt is back in the running. He is now 26 points. Yeah, he's on 26 points, and Lauda is still in front on 52, but he's cut down that gap.
But it's not really close though, is it?
No. No.
I mean, that's 9-18. That's nearly 3 clear wins that Lauda's got a lead, even after that reinstatement. So still half a season to go. Let's see.
Yes, it can be done. It's not impossible at this stage. I guess for people living this season, you'd go, okay, maybe there's a chance, if there's half a season to go, it can get close.
Yeah. So, I was also going to say in other seasons of championship races that we've done, we've quite often said one driver's got one hand on the trophy.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd say Lauda's got 1.5 hands on the trophy.
Yeah, fair enough. I just want to also remind you that from 1968, the championship points were split into 2 halves. I don't think we've focused on this too much, but
no, yeah.
Yeah, there were rules around how many points you could tally towards your championship in each half of the season.
Yes.
Because remember, for a long time, it was like the top 5 results or the top 6 results. Then they started splitting them between each half. So for 1976, it meant that the best 7 results of the first 8 races counted, and then the best 7 results from the second 8 races counted. So it was split in half. So it wasn't the best 14 results of the 16 races or whatever.
Yeah, it was a bit unusual in that regard. But I will say one thing, the positive is for this season, I was just looking at the championship table, no drivers had to drop any points. So luckily that doesn't play a part, but it's good to flag it as a reminder. Yeah. So this is also the new look Brands Hatch, where they'd spent, I wonder if I did the calculation. Yes, I did. They spent £300,000 to expand the pits, and this was considered a brag. And putting that in 2025 money, this is the year we're recording, that's approximately £2.7 million. You don't get much for £2.7 million today in building, especially if it's a public, big size of location like a pit section.
Yes.
So it's not really that much, but back in those days it was. Again, it shows currency converter is quite different to real value of money, even in the building industry. So again, the race was called the John Player Special Grand Prix, and in a break with tradition, they were running the race on Sunday, which is normal for us, or normal since I started watching Formula One since the 1980s. So that's an interesting thing, isn't it? And there were 30 drivers attempting to qualify or 30 drivers to earn the right to qualify for the 26 places available.
And in this race, there were 2 female drivers. Lola Lombardi was back for Brabham Ford and Miss De Gallica in the Surtees Ford.
And this would be the one and only F1 race in history to date up to August 2025. I don't think I could have just said 2025 with confidence. I don't think anything's happening in September, where 2 women would attempt to enter an F1 race at the same time. So that's pretty exciting. Unfortunately, neither would qualify.
They were in good company though, as Jackie Ickx in his Williams Ford also failed to qualify.
Yeah, I'll use that as a segue to qualifying then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget that there's 100 bottles of champagne here for the fastest on the first practice session. And it was sponsored by the Evening News, Luigi. That's very
And Hunt Julie, obviously with alcohol on the line, he duly set the fastest time and earned the champagne.
And probably drank it the night before the race.
Yeah.
Yes, we at least we know that he put that champagne to good use.
Yeah, whether he did it or not.
Yeah, whether it was the night before or not, I don't know. But I imagine that if Lauda won it, he probably would have stored it until after he's retired or something.
Yeah, made lots of money selling it off. Like these are the, special Formula One commemorative something. So to the final practice session, Saturday afternoon, as Saturday morning was set aside for scrubbing and full tank testing. Again, I would call that a practice session. It was again a battle between Lauda in his Ferrari, Hunt in the McLaren, and at times Andretti in the Lotus. As it turned out, Lauda just gained pole by 0.06 seconds, with Andretti a few tenths further back.
Like this has been going on for the whole season, and this is Hunt's home race too. So let's see how that pans out. So on race day, there was the 20-minute warm-up and there was a lot of drama as numerous drivers had issues, including Andretti, Scheckter and Peterson all having electrical issues with their car.
However, of note was Hunt ruining his clutch while practicing race starts. Luckily, there was enough time prior to the race start for all repairs to be applied, especially to the front row starter Hunt.
There was a very excited 75,000 strong crowd on the Sunday, all ready to see if their new hero Hunt could win their home race.
Yeah. So to race start, Lauda chose to start on the outside of the track, and when the red lights turned green...
Sounds like today's start, Luigi, when the red light... Well, not quite today.
It's like green lights go off.
Green lights go off, exactly.
They go off and that's the start. Yeah.
I do remember when red lights turned green.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't like this green lights go off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lauda roared away to another customary very strong start to lead everyone into Paddock Bend. Hunt, however, hung back slightly, which allowed Regazzoni to get up into second place.
However, Regazzoni was not done, for he had made a very strong start and he plunged down the inside of Lauda. Just when it looked like Regazzoni could take the lead, the 2 Ferraris touched. Chaos followed. Regazzoni spun fully around facing the oncoming cars.
That is the number one rule of Formula One, isn't it?
That's right. Don't hit your teammate.
Especially the one leading the championship. So Hunt in third was the first to come to face Regazzoni, and his rear wheel made contact, which launched the McLaren into the air and damaged the steering on landing. Many other cars were caught up in the melee, and it looked very chaotic. And this is definitely worth looking up or Googling in YouTube, whatever, if it's safe to do so. Literally half the cars were taken to the off-track area just to avoid the carnage and mayhem. There was dust and debris everywhere.
Yeah. So funnily enough, despite the carnage, when the dust settled and the cars had moved on, only Lafitte's Ligier was left at the scene. Amazingly, Regazzoni and Hunt were able to continue from the scene of the crime.
Well, Regazzoni was continuing but limping to the pits with car damage, and Hunt pulled up later in the lap. However, there was so much debris on the track that race control finally chose to red flag the race. And when Lauda finished the first lap, he was greeted by the red flag.
Okay, so this is a major moment in history here, Luigi. They actually stopped the race due to debris on the track. So this is the first time that they have stopped the race for anything other than an earthquake that ripped open a hole in the track. Like even for major accidents, they don't do it.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, that's why I opened up this episode with anarchy in the UK, because
Yes.
there's more mayhem coming, as we'll see. So go on, Rosa.
Yeah, yeah. So this is when the fun started. There was differing accounts from here. Like I've read it in a couple of books about what happened to Hunt's car after the accident. So some say he left the car on an access road and ran back to the pits to get into his spare car. And some say he drove the car back to the pits but did not complete a full lap of the track. Either way, race officials declared that since he had not been on the circuit when the red flag was waved, Hunt would not be allowed to take part in the restart, and spare cars were not allowed.
Yeah, so some debate then followed on the grid, during which time the McLaren mechanics managed to repair Hunt's damaged McLaren. Remember, there was a steering arm damage from the launch from Regazzoni, which he had used in the original start. So despite having failed to complete the first lap, Hunt was now at least not in a replacement car, and with the crowds chanting, "We want Hunt," with bottles and other litter thrown to the track, and with potential crowd trouble with the British fans, the stewards relented and allowed Hunt to take the restart.
No! Oh my gosh. If I thought the previous decision was soft, how soft is that?
It's pretty full on, isn't it? This is pretty full on. Yeah.
So both Regazzoni and Lafitte also took the restart, but they were both in replacement cars. So those two teams opted to compete anyway and face possible, disqualification after the race. But they got into their spare cars. Can we just get back to the stewards relenting here, Luigi?
On the Hunt situation.
Oh my gosh. Like that to me is a clear-cut breach of the rules.
Well, the car didn't finish the lap.
No.
I mean, there was some words that he did, but every other the sources I've read, he did not finish that lap.
No, that's right.
But they managed to repair the original car.
But he didn't finish
the lap. And that's black and white, and they relented to crowd. Yeah. Look,
all right. Well,
I'm a McLaren fan. I'm a McLaren fan, but I'm calling this is worse than the Witt thing.
Yes, 100% worse. If we thought that decision was soft, this is even worse.
Yeah. And they shouldn't have let Lafitte in.
No.
Or Regazzoni.
Yep.
Yeah. That was real wrong. We can't fix it. In the TP, we can fix it.
Yeah, 100% we're going to fix it.
Yeah, but we can't fix the history of the real world. So should we continue? Any other comments to make about it?
No, I got nothing. I'm dead inside.
We've said it. So finally we have our second race start. And again, Lauda made a strong start straight into the lead, but this time Hunt held off Regazzoni to take second place. So the leading cars after one lap were Lauda, Hunt, Regazzoni, Scheckter in the Tyrrell, Peterson, the March is up there still, Eamon in the inside, impressive, and the rest.
Lauda gradually started pulling away from Hunt, and Hunt started pulling away from Regazzoni.
And when you say Lauda pulled away, Lauda is only 2 seconds ahead of Hunt, but it was a stable and retained 2 seconds. So after 20 laps, and remember this is a 76 lap race, Lauda's lead was about 3 to 4 seconds, and it seemed a stalemate of sorts had set in.
Then about the halfway mark, Lauda started to have trouble with his gear changing, and Hunt started to close that gap.
Lapping back markers was a trouble for Lauda. And by lap 44, I think because of the gear thing, Hunt started down the inside of the ailing Ferrari to take the lead, and the crowd erupted, as you can imagine.
As I can imagine. Maybe they should stop the race, Luigi, in case there's like a crowd disruption. Do you reckon?
Yeah. Well, they were throwing things on the track as well.
I know. So not much else happens in this race, to be honest. The cars left were thinning out. Even Regazzoni retired on lap 37, so that saved him from getting disqualified. Or maybe not. Maybe if the Italian fans made some trouble, maybe he'd get reinstated. So the final 20 laps went with Hunt touring around untroubled, and he took the flag to a hero's welcome, and nearly a minute later, Lauda followed in second place. Scheckter was third, the only other driver on the same lap as Hunt and Lauda. Watson finished an impressive fourth in the Penske.
Well, it's not over though. You can imagine it's not over. No sooner had the race ended that the argument started. Ferrari, Tyrrell and Fittipaldi lodging complaints against Hunt for being allowed to take part in the restarted race.
The appeals were rejected, but then Ferrari took the matter to the FIA's Court of Appeal. That is hilarious. And 2 months later, Hunt was disqualified, thus making Lauda the winner.
Yeah. So the official top six was Lauda, Scheckter, Watson. Very good for getting on the podium, but he wasn't on the podium on the day, unfortunately, I think. Price in the shadow, Jones in the Surtees. This might be his first points. And Fittipaldi getting another point.
I was wondering why Fittipaldi was lodging complaints.
Yeah,
that's why.
there's money. There's a reason.
Points. Yes.
Yeah. Now, this race result did cause a lot of ill will because Hunt had felt that he'd had his home race win taken away from him. And you can imagine the emotions would have been up there. You know what I mean?
I don't understand how he could even think that. He was clearly outside of the rules. Clearly.
Oh, yeah, but to him, he drove the race, he led the race, he passed on track. Just think about it from that physical perspective. And he probably said, come on, the 1.8 centimetres, come on.
Okay, so I'm going to read the points now, but the points are, because remember, again, it was 2 months later that Hunt was disqualified. So the points that I'm
so
about
these
to
points
read
don't reflect that yet.
don't reflect that. This has got James Hunt still winning this race. Exactly. Okay. So we've got Lauda on 58, Hunt on 35, Scheckter on 28. And in the constructors' side, we've got Ferrari on 61, Tyrrell on 41, and McLaren on 40. So that's, so we'll have to I'll let you know when all of that catches up. But
cool.
The results now.
Thanks for helping with that. It's very easy to get confused in all this. Yeah. Imagine if the other Spanish one hadn't been resolved in time and there were two conditions.
One up, one down.
Yeah. This is with the Spanish race in out. This is with the British race in out. And this is with one or like all the permutations,
Yeah. Yes. Well.
So we're up to race 10 now, the German Grand Prix, the infamous Nürburgring. So we've just gone from one sort of famous race. Even when I was a teenager, I remembered that British Grand Prix was a bit chaotic. Now we've got a different chaos coming up. So it's at the Nürburgring, the 1st of August, 14 laps, as we all recall from, if you're regular listeners, 22 kilometres, 14 miles, something like that. The weather was rain, then dry. So I've been looking forward to this race, but
no, you've not been looking
not in a good way. Not in a good way. Yeah, just because it's a change. It's a changer. Yeah. It's the opposite to how I felt about the Swedish race of 76 when I knew the IKEA Swedish Tyrrells would get a 1-2, you know?
That was a fun thing for teenage Luigi.
Yeah, even though it was a boring race, it was just a funny outcome.
Yeah. Well, I think we got to get to it then. So before the race even started, a lot of the drivers, including Lauda, expressed concerns about the safety of this racetrack. There were views that this may be the last ever race at this 22-kilometre circuit. Such was the feeling of unease among the drivers.
Yeah, Lauda's view was that this track was the most unsafe track of them all, primarily because of the time it would take for ambulances and firefighters to reach the scene of an incident. Lauda attempted to arrange a boycott of the race, but the other drivers voted against it by just one vote, and the race went ahead.
I bet that was X, Luigi.
Oh, for sure.
As Germany had a ban on cigarette promotion on the cars, we do see a range of different sponsors on these cars, with ironically alcohol taking centre stage.
Yeah. So we're going from one unhealthy thing to an equally unhealthy thing.
Yes.
What happened to the good old days of soap? Yardley.
I know. Exactly.
Those days are gone.
I know.
Yeah.
So Surtees dropped Chesterfield cigarettes for Campari, and March was painted in the orange colours of the Jägermeister health drinks.
Health drinks. That's what it was called back then, I guess.
I've never thought of Jägermeister being a health drink.
Was it seen as like, when someone, in the old days, in the early 1900s, when someone had had a shock? Oh, here, have a brandy, have a,
Yes,
Is
that's
that the
right.
health they're talking about?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was also Warsteiner beer on the Hesketh and, some other new sponsors as well.
Yeah, okay. On the driver front, of note was that X decided he had had enough perseverance with the Williams team, so Mazzario took his place for the race.
Oh, so I wonder if X is actually on the grid here. Maybe he didn't vote. But anyway, it seems interesting because that X seems to rate himself because he keeps walking out of teams. Like, isn't that the third team in like maybe 4 years that he's walked out on?
Definitely two that I can remember off the top of my head. Did he walk away off Ensign? No, that's not Ensign. Ensign comes later. Okay.
I have read though that he was fired from the Williams team. So that's interesting.
Well, his career is in a bit of a downward spiral anyway, and it's a pity because he was good. He was a good driver.
No,
And
I reckon he has walked away from 3 teams. I
You're
reckon he
probably
walked away
right.
from Ferrari and then he had enough of, was it Lotus? I can't remember. Was it Lotus that he had enough of and he walked out on them?
Yeah, he definitely walked out of Ferrari, definitely walked out of Lotus, and this Williams
now
one, we
this
don't
one.
know if it was
Yeah.
he was walked or he walked.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Either way, he walked.
Either way, he's there. Exactly. He walked. And like, I don't think he's had like a very, like you say, he was up there early in his career, like in the 70s, like early 70s, but didn't really take it to the end, did he? He didn't really reach the heights, I don't think, up to now.
His name carried him a bit more. His name, being such a cool name, gave him more stretch to his career that he maybe deserved or was warranted.
Yeah. And what happens in his career from now on, Louis? Does he have a resurgence? I know you don't want to let much go by, but I don't remember him much in the 80s, for example.
No. He goes down the Fittipaldi path. Yeah, we might mention him every now and then, but no. And I think a better term to use, Graham Hill, but not quite as bad.
Ooh, okay. Right. Yeah, okay. Got it.
Anyway,
all right.
So to practice, so the race went ahead by 1 vote.
Yes.
We haven't had many drivers boycott. That shows how serious they got.
That's right. Yep.
So to practice, it was the duo of Hunt and Lauda who were again setting the pace, and it was Hunt this time to set the fastest time of 7 minutes 6.5, followed by Lauda 0.9 further back. Hunt in the march was really putting in a big effort.
Stuck in the march.
Stuck, sorry. I always get Stuck and Mass mixed up because they're sort of...
You said Hunt.
Oh, did I say Hunt instead of Stuck?
Yes.
So Stuck in the march was really putting in a big effort in front of his home crowd because it was the German Grand Prix. But it was Depailler in the Tyrrell who secured second ahead of Stuck and the rest.
He secured third.
Okay. Thank you for correcting me.
Louis, have a drink of coffee.
I will have another drink of coffee.
So Depailler in the Tyrrell is doing really well on that, on some good different tracks, really. Those 6-wheeler cars are really outperforming his teammate Scheckter, who qualified 8th. So Depailler, I think, is doing well in that.
Yeah, and to put this in perspective, I don't know if I mention it later, but Scheckter was sort of seen as the team leader.
Yeah, I think so.
But Depailler is really showing him the way a bit. So even though Scheckter got the win. So the grid was set by the Friday practice session as the Saturday session was rained out. So when it came to race day, the rain was back, but as race start drew near, there was some indecision about whether to start with wet weather tyres or not, as parts of the track were wet. Because 22 kilometres, it's not all the same. Some bits are not as wet as others.
Yep. So we keep saying this. Remember, this is 1976. So there's no mobile phones. There's pretty average weather forecasting technology. It was probably old school. They probably had people like at phone booths down around the track explaining what was happening where they were, if that. They were probably just looking into the skies, into the distance.
Yeah, I reckon they were looking at the sky or sending
Yeah, that's right.
or the race organisers send an exploratory driver out to report back. But that would take in a non-Formula One car, probably 15 minutes,
Yeah,
something,
well,
or 20.
that's exactly what they did, Louis. You've just preempted yourself in the next section.
Oh, did I? Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
they
they
did do
announced it
that.
to be a wet race. They announced it, so he obviously did that. So most drivers started the race on wet tyres, except Jochen Mass, not Stuck.
No.
Having much experience at the Nürburgring and expecting a change for better weather, decided to use dry weather tyres. A bit of local knowledge there.
Yeah, interesting. So to the race start, both Hunt and Lauda developed too much wheel spin, and it was Regazzoni who charged through from the third row and took the lead.
So, wow, the Regazzoni, the semi-hero of Britain.
Yes.
Is he do we call it hero? Is that sarcasm by me? I'm not sure.
I think it is sarcasm.
Yeah, because he caused the chaos, right? By
That's
taking
right,
out his
you did.
team or trying to take out his teammate.
Exactly.
So Regazzoni qualified fifth, but in reality, he had a spare car space in front of him as Stuck, who qualified fourth, could not take the start due to a seized clutch. So the early race leaders were Regazzoni, followed by the two McLarens of Hunt and Mass, then Lafitte in the Ligier, Pache, Peterson, Scheckter, and Lauda.
As the drivers finished the first lap, it was becoming clear that the track was drying and half the field were already heading into the pits for slick tyres.
Mass's gamble in the third place McLaren was now paying off big time because in this era, pit stops were about 30 plus seconds. So he was gaining massive time.
Yep. So Mass went on to take the lead on the second lap when everyone pitted, and he then went on to pull away at a ridiculous rate. By the start of the third lap, he already had a nearly 30-second lead from Nielsen in the Lotus, who qualified 16th, but was staying out on the wet weather tyres.
He might be playing a smart game too. Might be raining again and he'll be happy and he'll be in the lead like Mass just did. So Nielsen is really out of place here, but it's temporary because he's taking a reverse gamble. The rain may come back. Maybe he will have a 30-second lead in a couple of laps' time himself. So this is when there was an announcement that the race had been stopped as there had been a serious accident. According to the Mike Lang book, and there are many different versions of this, Lauda's Ferrari clipped the concrete curb, spun backwards into catch fencing, and then cannoned back onto the track.
Seconds later, a closely following trio of Edwards, Ertl and Lunger came flying by, with Ertl and Edwards being unable to avoid hitting the now in flames Ferrari. When the Ferrari hit the barriers, it ripped off its near side wheels, but also the structure protecting the fuel cells, which meant that they had ruptured.
Luckily, the drivers Ertl and Lunger were not injured and they stopped to pull Lauda out or tried to pull Lauda out, but they found the safety harnesses were jammed.
Then the next batch of cars arrived. Mazzario stopped and he dove into the flames and freed the straps, which enabled Lauda to be pulled clear of the burning car.
At first, it seemed that he had escaped serious injury, apart from facial burns, as a result of his helmet being wrenched off his head by the catch fencing. It was quickly realised that he had suffered serious internal injuries to his lungs and blood, caused by inhaling toxic fumes from the fire.
For the next 3 days, he remained on the brink of death and even had his last rites read to him by a priest. I did hear he told the priest to get lost in no uncertain terms when that was happening. But yeah, and I think it's in the movie as well.
It's in the movie.
They depicted that as well, yeah, which is very much a sign of his determination that he was not ready to pass on, I guess.
No, definitely not. He still had that fire in him. Oh, pardon the pun. I didn't mean to make a joke,
Luigi.
but yeah. Totally not intended that way. If there is a positive, he does make a remarkable recovery and does return to F1, which we will get to, but he is never the same type of driver again, and we'll come to this as we progress.
Let's also acknowledge that the race organisers have again stopped a race. So in this case, the track would have been cluttered with cars and people and a burning wreck blocking the track. So I guess I had no choice. But we've seen worse. Like we've seen them just leave didn't they leave like a burnt out car with a body in it to the end of the race, and they didn't stop the race for that. So good on them for taking that decision here.
Sanity is finally prevailing. So when the cars lined up again, so they did restart, of course, only 20 cars participated.
So while there were a few mechanical reasons for some cars to withdraw, it is noted that Eamon refused to participate based on Lauda's accident.
Yeah, he's seen enough death and tragedy, and fair enough to him. The track had dried out and now everyone was restarting the race on slicks. Just a quick mention, poor Mass, he had this race in the bag. And let's remember him with the TP Championship, I'm sure we will. And Motario, of course.
I was going to say there's a few people to remember in this one, Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to the race restart, Hunt immediately took the lead with Regazzoni in second, Scheckter, Depailler, Pache, Mas, Peterson and the rest. So during the first lap, Regazzoni had a spin. Well, when Regazzoni had his spin, he made contact with Depailler, which caused him to spin into the catch fences and out of the race. After just the first lap, Hunt had already built up a 9-second lead with Pache in the Brabham Alpha in second and Scheckter in third.
By the second lap, Hunt's lead was now 10 seconds, but Scheckter had forced his way up to second. There were a series of retirements, and at one point, Scheckter looked like he was slightly closing in on Hunt, but Hunt, no doubt having seen the pit boards, sped up and increased his lead to 12 seconds.
In this case, I sort of welcome a processional race. There's too much has happened so far. I can't handle it. So while
this race and the last race.
Yes. So while Hunt was pulling away, the attention turned to the battle for third place. There was a trio that included Regazzoni, Mas and Pache. These three circulated very tightly for a few laps. Remember, each lap is about 8 minutes, so that's an amazing duel for a long time.
Regazzoni had will-to-will racing, Rosa? Is that what you mean?
Possibly, Louis, possibly. But Regazzoni had another spin and had to pit to repair his car. So he's not having a good time of it out there. On the penultimate lap, Scheckter set the fastest lap of the race. He set a time that was about 1.5 seconds faster than his qualifying time. But he had no hope to win as Hunt already was 30 seconds ahead.
So to the battle for third. This was the most interesting element left of the race, I guess. And Pache and his Brabham Alpha was starting to have handling issues as the fuel load lightened. Plus he had a misfire. So Mass relieved him of third place. And so in Mike Lang's British bias words, Hunt got the checkered flag for the third race in a row. And we know the British race was disqualified or was contentious. Yes. But anyway.
Yes. He's missing Clark, poor old Mikey. Hunt is good, but he's no Jim Clark. Come on. Scheckter was second, Mas third, Pache fourth, only 1.5 seconds behind Mas, and Nielsen fifth.
Yeah, so at this point in time, we have a let's do the championship and then have a quick recap and then have a quick chat, shall we?
All right. So remember, this is still without the final results of the 76 Grand Prix. So it was still under appeal, the British Grand Prix. All right. So it's still got James Hunt win in here. So Lauda's on 58, James Hunt is on 44, and Scheckter is on 34. And Ferrari is on 61, McLaren's on 49, and Tyrrell is on 47. So, people have now seen Lauda have horrific injuries and be for 3 days, be in close to death. So at this point, if you're watching this live, you'd think it was a Hunt championship.
Well, because the gap is only 14 points without the British reversal. And who knows if Lauda can even come back to Formula One.
Exactly.
We don't know that at this point in time. Yeah.
To me, it feels a bit like the Jochen Rindt year, Louis, except Lauda's not dead, thankfully. But it kind of feels like even in that year, Rindt shouldn't have won that championship. I think.
No, Rindt should have won it because X couldn't catch him. He tried.
No, but I think they made a couple of errors in there. Was it Ferrari at the time?
Yeah, Ferrari did make a couple of errors, but they weren't.
I think they made a couple of strategic errors, and X could have taken it, maybe. There was possible, but it's feeling like that to me. Like Lauda's got a lead over Hunt, But yeah, I just don't know that, he can. I think everyone's thinking Hunt can take the championship at this point.
With a 14-point gap, which we know is going to go back.
What?
Because it's
with 5
9 points will be
yeah. With 5 races. Even if he does get disqualified, there's still 5 races and everyone's thinking Lauda's not going to race.
Yeah, for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year, exactly.
Yeah. We'll see. We will see. But it's very exciting because it does feel like 1972.0. Yeah, but with less severe consequences to Lauda, I'm glad to say.
Thankfully, yes. Yeah. Are we breaking here, Louis?
We're breaking here. Absolutely, we are. Yes.
Oh, good, because I do need a bit of a breath of. Yeah, I just need a bit of a break after that.
Yeah,
all right,
heavy,
take
wasn't
a break.
It? Heavy 2 races.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see you all next time.
Yep. Okay.
Bye.